Hello, welcome to Around the Old Town. I'm Bob Toomey. With me is Christy Coombs. Christy, nice to have you again.
Thanks again, Bob.
Christy could practically host the show herself. She's a very great advocate for her cause. We had Christy discuss, of course, the National 9/11 Day of Service,
Right.
the Jeff Coombs Memorial Road Race, and Abington's 9/11 Memorial.
Right.
I'll let you start because you have all the information, and
Okay.
start with whatever subject you want to start with.
Okay, well, the first thing that we have coming up is the surprisingly, it's hard to believe, the 15th anniversary of 9/11. You know, that day 15 years ago, I remember sitting in my living room watching it all unfold on TV and thinking throughout the course of the morning that this could deeply affect my family and the town of Abington. And 15 years later, it's hard to believe where we are, where we've come, and what we've accomplished in those 15 years with the help of the entire community. So as I guess we'll start with the 9/11 Memorial that we're bringing to Abington.
Sure.
5 years ago, I went to the Port Authority Police who had control of the World Trade Center steel, and I found out that they were giving pieces of steel to different communities. And I heard of communities that didn't have anybody directly impacted by 9/11 that were receiving pieces of steel. So I contacted the Port Authority Police and put in my application, and we got a 250-pound I-beam piece of steel. It's about yay big. It's got a screw coming out the top of it, and it's from one of the beams from the World Trade Center. We don't know exactly which one or where it came from, but we do know that it's from the World Trade Center. And so for 5 years, I've been mulling over it, trying to decide what to do with it. It's been stored at the Abington Fire Department, and they bring it out for us when we need it, when I go talk to the schools to show the school kids, and we have it at the road race every year and wherever else we need it. And I called on Doug Ulwick, who is Abington's unofficial historian,
Sure.
maybe official historian, and also a very talented architect, and asked him to design something for us. So what he came up with was this very thoughtful design of a 7-foot polished granite pedestal that it's tapered at the bottom, and it is going to have the granite at the top. So being polished granite, it's going to be a very stark contrast with the rusty, dull steel that's been through a lot.
Sure.
And this back piece here is, I call it a spire, Doug calls it a spike, and this whole thing is called a gnomon. And what's going to happen is, ideally, once Doug is able to track it, this figure 8 back here is called a gnomon, and on the 11th of every month at 8:46, the peak of this is going to cast a shadow on this gnomon at 8:46 in the morning on the 11th of every month. So it's very thoughtful what he put together
Sure.
here, and very significant. So this gnomon, this part won't be done for another year because we've got to track it and figure out exactly where it needs to go. It's going to have words in it that trace the figure 8. We're not sure what those words are going to say yet, and then it'll have the plot for September 11th, 8:46 a.m. And then these 4 things here are granite cubes that represent the 4 planes that crashed that morning. And it's going to be set on some sort of patio, and this will all be in front of the Abington Police Station. And we had a couple of different options as to where to put it. People had different suggestions, but we chose that space because, number one, it's not going to be vandalized there. Number two, it's a drive-by. There's a lot of people driving by there, to get to other parts of Abington. Kids go play basketball there. People use the pond. They drive by as they're going to St. Bridget Church.
Exactly.
They're cut through to Rockland, whatever. So it's a popular place for people to drive by,
Sure.
and I wanted it to be someplace where people could see it as
right.
they do drive
You don't want
by.
on the corner of some
Right.
park that.
And there's an easy place for people to pull over into the police parking lot if they chose to
Right.
stop and see it. And the primary reason is for that location is an emotional one. Jeff used to take our kids to the pond. either to fish or to feed the swans or see the ducks or,
Sure.
you know, just because I believe it's Abington's prettiest feature. And I wanted it to go someplace that was meaningful to us,
Sure.
that overlooked a pretty site.
Yes.
And so that's how we landed at the Abington Police Station. And the police chief, Dave Majensky, is just thrilled that it's going there. And the town is completely on board with it.
Sure.
So now what we're doing is we're doing the fundraising. The Poirier family who own Quincy Memorials, they're actually constructing the memorial itself.
The
So
granite,
they've
yeah,
ordered the
being-
granite, and they're going to be attaching the steel and the spire to it. And so they're helping us out with the cost of
That's
that.
significant,
Their
sure.
part is they're doing their part at no cost. That's the construction after the granite is constructed by the granite company.
Yeah.
And then Glenn LaPointe, in his generous way, is going to be doing all the site work for nothing, which we're incredibly grateful to him for
Sure.
that. So now we still have to fund, the cost of the granite, which is about $14,000. And then the patio area, and Siones is going to help us out with the landscaping.
Siones,
Yeah. And so it's really going to be a community effort, and this is sort of a gift to the town for all that they've done to help my family through, to help support the Jeff Coombs Memorial Foundation over the last 15 years. And, it can be used as an education, an educational piece for the kids too, for schools to talk to the kids about 9/11. And, it's a place for people to go and reflect on 9/11 as well.
Sure.
And also a symbol of something that we should never forget because of the way it's changed all of us, our community, and
The
our
whole world.
country, and the whole world.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because you and I, of course, lived through it, you more than I did. But there are kids coming up
Right.
now that aren't familiar with it.
I talk to usually 6th grade class at the Woodsdale School. Sometimes I talk to the high school kids. And even the high school kids now, were so young then, they don't remember
Right.
it. And, obviously the 6th graders at Woodsdale weren't born then.
Right.
So, but it's really important because it has had such an impact on our country, on our history, and how we do things now are a direct result of 9/11.
No doubt about it.
So it's important, as scary as it is to teach about, because let's face it, that was the most scary day that any of us recall
Right.
in our country's history. As scary as it is to teach about, it's something that kids have to learn about.
And you can't put your head in the sand. I mean,
Right.
it's happened, and now we have to deal with it, and it's still
Right.
going on now.
Absolutely.
The repercussions of that. And
Yeah.
so I agree. You got to put it out there and let kids be
Right.
aware and why things are happening the way they are now. And
Yep.
this is a great reminder. And of course, the location is ideal.
Yeah,
You know, that's-
yeah. I think it's going to be a very meaningful and very beautiful memorial once it's completed. Our goal is to have it done sometime in September
Of this year.
of this year,
Okay.
and to dedicate it somewhere around, probably the middle to the end of September.
Okay.
But of course, all that depends on how soon we can get the site work done and how soon the memorial gets placed, and if we don't hit any hurdles. So for fundraising, we're asking people if they want to contribute, they can do so on the website, jeffcoombsfund.org, and in
That
the
should be coming
notation.
up on the screen there. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
And in the notation, they can just say memorial,
Okay.
or Abington's 9/11 Memorial. We also have some donation buckets around town.
At various
there's one,
stores
yes,
and-
there's one at Sticks and Stones, there's some at the bank, there's one at You Look Fabulous Salon. And we've also had a fundraiser where I have a story in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Spirit of America, which came out in June. And Michelle Christian, who's a local writer,
Yes.
and a parent very involved in the town, she's got 4 stories in 3 different books, Chicken Soup for the Soul books. So we sat at Trukey's one day and had a book signing, and she donated all the proceeds of her book sales to the foundation for the memorial, and between the 2 of us, we raised $600 in a couple of hours.
That's fantastic.
So it was really, really great. And you'll see me around promoting the book again. Makes a great Christmas
No
present.
doubt about it.
And through Chicken Soup for the Soul, we can buy the book for $5 and we sell it for $15, which is the price they sell it for on Amazon,
Amazon, right.
or in the bookstores. And all the money is going right back to the foundation.
Sure.
So I'm not pocketing any
I'm
cents.
sure you're not.
No. And so, if anybody, we've got support from the town. We're getting a good donation from the American Legion. The Abington Bank has donated toward this. And then, of course, as I said, Glen LaPointe and Sione's and all the others that are planning
Gloria.
to contribute. Lee Mann has offered to do what work he can. So we've got a lot of support from the town, and we're looking forward to get this done and dedicate it and have it there for, you
For
know,
generations.
for perpetuity. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's important, again, it's a history, we have to understand it. A lot of these children, like you said, aren't familiar with
Right.
it. And if we keep it alive,
Right.
it'll keep it alive with them too.
Right.
And, it's so
And that's the
important.
reason that I go talk to kids around 9/11 in the schools, to help them understand what it means. And, you know, it's not only about remembering what it did to our country, but it's, you know, how it affected nearly 3,000 families that day in a very serious way,
Sure,
and how it affected our town.
right. It directly affects us. You know,
Yeah.
You're very involved in the community, your children are. And
Yeah,
it's important that people remember that.
yeah.
Well, now, that's location, your donations, Jeff Coombs Memorial Foundation. Please donate anything you can, $5, $10.
Yeah, every little bit helps.
Right. Coins, every bit adds up.
Yeah.
So please keep that in mind. Okay, how
All right,
about
so the
our
next thing
event?
is, so we're sticking with September 11th, the day of, being the 15th anniversary. As I've mentioned before, 9/11 has been designated as a National Day of Service and Remembrance. So once again, I'll be on the Rose Kennedy Greenway on 9/11 with the Massachusetts Military Heroes Fund, which is an organization that I serve on the board, and we work with the families in Massachusetts who've lost somebody as a result of their service post 9/11.
Okay,
And so what we've done for the last 6 or 7 years, I believe, is we've put together care packages on the Rose Kennedy Greenway on 9/11. And we encourage companies and organizations and individuals to donate the product that we need to stuff the care packages. This year we're doing 500 care packages to send to the troops and 500 for the New England Center for Homeless Veterans in Boston. And things like, you know, winter hats and underwear and
Necessities, basic necessities,
right?
sure.
Basic necessities, and we give them a backpack that they can the New England Center can distribute to their homeless veterans and help them through a very tough winter. And then the care packages we'll send to troops. I encourage anyone who has somebody serving who is deployed out of the country. It could be in Japan. It doesn't have to be
Right, in the
one of the
battlefront.
war-torn
Sure.
battlefront areas. It can be anywhere out of the country if they have somebody deployed. Get in touch with me. Send me an email at jeffcoombsfund.org with their address. Don't post it on Facebook because we don't want that out there. It's the government recommends that we don't make it public where their loved ones are serving and their names and that kind of thing
Right.
for their own security.
Right.
So if they want to send me an email with their loved one's name and address, we'll make sure we add them to the list of care
Excellent.
packages. And we encourage anyone who wants to come down. This year being a Sunday, you can bring down school kids. You can come down yourselves anywhere from noon to 3. We'll be doing the care packages. And, you know, we invite you to come write a note, help assemble the care packages.
There's plenty of
and
work to do. Sure.
absolutely, really take part in an important day. If you wanted to go in earlier at 9 a.m., we'll be reading the names of those lost on 9/11 on the State House steps, weather permitting. If it rains, we have to move it inside.
Sure.
But otherwise, we'll be on the State House steps, and the public is welcome to stand on the sidewalk there outside the gates. For security reasons, they won't let us open the gates. I've advocated for that for years.
I
And
think only when the President of the United States
Yeah.
visits and the exiting governor at the end
yeah,
of his
they
term.
won't allow us to open them, unfortunately, because, you know, we're all about remember, remember, remember. And I've always felt that we want it to be inclusive, and we want the public to be included in that day of remembering. But yet, we have a gate between us, a wrought iron gate. But,
Right.
you know, as I said, for security reasons, we can't do anything differently. So, but we encourage people to come out
by.
and be with us that morning.
I remember, didn't Tim Allnut do the taps at one of the ceremonies there?
Yes,
Yes,
Tim.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Tim and his cousin have done taps for us a number of times.
Right, a number, okay.
Yeah, the fire chief's son.
Right,
And so we'll be doing that. And also, the American Red Cross has their commemorative blood drive at Fenway Park again.
the same day?
The same day, I
Okay.
believe this year. This is the 14th year they're doing it. And I've served on the board of the Red Cross Blood Services for about 10 years. And the blood drive will run from about 7:30 to 2:30. And it's a very festive blood drive, which kind of seems, you
Yeah,
know,
at odds with each
contradictory.
other,
but,
sure.
But it's a really, really great day, and it's the kind of thing where, for me, the first year I attended it, about 7 years ago, I was with my kids, and they were young, and it really turned the day around for them. In fact, at one point, my daughter looked at me and she said, "Mom, I never thought September 11th could ever be fun again." And, you know, it just made me cry. And that's when I made my commitment to the Red Cross that I would be there every year and help promote their blood drives, because I can't give blood, so that's the way I can give back in memory of Jeff, who was a blood donor.
Right.
And so on September 11th, you can go give blood, you can go show your support. There's the trophies there. The Fenway Park is open so people can take pictures of the field. There's free food, there's chicken fingers and legal seafood chowder and standard Fenway Park food. And
I know what you're saying about kind of a joyful event in a sense. I've seen the clips on Nesson.
yeah.
And it's one of they show the things, all that's going on that day.
Yeah.
And all the people that come in with great spirit and upbeat
Yeah.
and want to contribute and give back. And
Well, seeing that kind of spirit that you just spoke of, it's got to make you smile.
Right.
It's got to make you feel good. And people are genuinely there because of 9/11. You know, I've actually seen men working in a building next door near Fenway a couple of years ago take their hard hats off and climb down off the steel and come over to Fenway to give blood.
Right.
And I asked them, I said, "Why are you doing this?" And they said, "I remember exactly where I was on 9/11, and I remember how it affected me, and this is something I can do to give back for
Sure.
those who can't anymore." And I gave him a hug and I thanked him for that. And you know, it really means a lot to me that people come out and do any thing in service
Right.
to remember those who died that day.
it's so imperative. We talked about it. Having a holiday, it's like you said before, it's
Right.
just like a car sale. So
Yeah,
not
it's a
just
day off of school, it's a day
Right.
off of work where people go about their lives.
And
they
think
don't
about
really
anything but
acknowledge-
9/11.
Exactly.
So tremendous with this National Day of Service. And
Yeah.
you can help in any way possible. It doesn't have to be with the 9/11. Even if you help your neighbor next door.
Right.
Any capacity you can help and contribute back and give back to the community and,
Right.
and your friends. And especially like you have an elderly neighbor that's when it gets cold. And
Right.
September, of course, isn't as bad. But check on your neighbors and just do anything to...
Right.
to
And there's an
help out.
organization called My Good Deed, 911day.org, that actually started this whole effort to make 9/11 a National Day of Service and Remembrance. And the president did sign it into legislation several years ago. And if you go to 911day.org, it gives you all kinds of ideas of ways that you can help in your
Sure.
community or you know, organize things that are going on, or just different ways that you can help. And for teachers, there's also some great lesson plans there of how to teach 9/11 in
Right,
the
in accordance
schools.
with this,
Yeah.
right. And,
So, you know, we've really come a long way in 15 years, and we've learned how to remember the day in a way that works, certainly for us families. And it's a meaningful way, rather than just, you know, sit back and
Right,
count
just-
our sorrows and say, "Oh, woe is me, I lost my husband on 9/11. We can now step out and do something meaningful and remember Jeff in a way that he would like to be
No
remembered.
doubt about it.
And, you know, do something good with ourselves for the day.
And
we
it goes
encourage him.
exponentially. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, immediately after 9/11, I remember people were kind to each other driving on the
Yeah.
roads. And this kind of brings that back in a sense where you know you're helping people. And it makes you feel good as
Right.
well.
And that's where this all stemmed from. And that's how we formed the Jeff Coombs Memorial Foundation, was because of all the good that people did for my family. You know, little girl from around the block whose family still lives in Abington today, she sold little bracelets that she made at 6 years old on the street corner and gave my family that money. You know, the paper boy gave us his collection for the week. A little girl, I've told this story before, was 9 years old. She's from Norwell. I wish I could remember her name. Her birthday was the same as Jeff's, which is September 18th. And she gave us her birthday money that year. And you know, things like that, people bringing us food and just doing the special things for my kids and trying to do things to help them, you know, have a reason to smile in their darkest time of their lives, their very young lives.
Sure.
And, you know, it all goes back to paying it forward.
Exactly.
And that's what this is all about. And that leads us to the Jeff Coombs
It's
Memorial
road race.
Foundation,
Right,
which this year we're having our 15th annual road race, which has been going strong for 15 years. It's actually pretty amazing. You know, a lot of people say that road races usually run their course after 5 or 10 years, pardon the pun. But we've debated, I remember we debated after 5 years, okay, is this the end? And then after 10 years, is this the end? And everybody has said to me, don't stop now, because people still love this event. It's the biggest event in Abington.
Right. It's a family day.
It really is. It brings the community together. It brings the families together. We get people from all over New England.
Right.
And it's our way of raising money to continue helping families throughout Massachusetts for the rest of the year. And this year it's an extra special day. It's going to be on what would have been Jeff's 58th birthday. And so we'll be sending off 58 balloons that morning. And I know the environmentalists will say that's bad for the environment, but I've researched it. The balloons actually, I'm told, are not bad for the environment. It's the ribbon. So we're using, biodegradable string.
Perfect.
And, that'll be our send-off and our homage to Jeff. And with the road race, we've got, the usual wonderful things going on. Registration is about where it was at last year, and then lo and behold, the day of, we get 900 people. So the fees will be going up on September 1st, so I encourage people to go to jeffcoombsfund.org, look for the fundraising page, and it'll take you right to a registration page that you can register online, or they can find these pamphlets around town, or they can email me and I'll send them an online one. And that's for the registration. It goes up September 1st, so they have time to register now.
Sure.
And if you register by September 1st, it guarantees them a T-shirt, which are a great kind of washed blue this year. I'm sorry, they're a Nantucket red. Their volunteers will be wearing the blue. And so it's going to be an awesome day. We're going to have some characters there for the kids. We'll have Carlos Arredondo, who is the Patriot, Patriot cowboy, who helped out at the Boston Marathon, and everybody loves Carlos.
Sure.
He'll be there again. We'll be paying tribute to the military as well as police officers this year, and in light of all that's been going on with the police officers, we want to let them know that we appreciate what they do. We're also going to have about 30 or 40 police cadets that will be running Cadence again this year, and that's always a wonderful sight to see.
State Trooper cadets?
Actually, they're I think they're from the police academy, and they're Randolph Police Academy, perhaps.
Okay.
I got a call the other day from somebody who said he's got these guys lined up.
Ready to go.
So we did that last year or the year before, I don't remember now, and I told them, no need to pay. We want you guys to come. You're here as our guest. And among themselves, they collected $700 and donated to the foundation, which just made me cry. Yeah. So I told them the same thing this year. I want them there, and I want them to come be honored by us. And this year, something different that we're going to have is kids can take a horse or a pony ride. So we're going to have a horse and a pony there for about an hour and a half. Yeah. And every year we try to do something a little different.
Sure.
Yeah, to make it fresh and new and fun. And the pedal carts will be there again, and Joe's Crazy Critters with his snakes and lizards and tortoises and all those. They'll be there, and the kids love that.
And the food is always there's abundance of food.
Yeah, we'll have the hot dogs and the pizza and chowder and all kinds of good stuff. That's all of that is donated. Stop and Shop is a great sponsor. Country Rentals from Rockland and Hanson or Halifax. They donate everything we need to throw the event. They've been extremely supportive for 15 years. And we've got some other great sponsors. Cape Cod Lumber is our event sponsor. And they're also sending some runners down and some participants. Excellent. And then we've got some smaller sponsors from around the town that we really appreciate. Abington Bank is always there with us. And this year, for the first time, we've got the Martin Richard Foundation. Martin Richard Foundation was founded by his family in memory of Martin, the 8-year-old who was killed in the Boston Marathon attacks. And through his cousins who live here in Abington, the O'Neills, I've gotten to know Denise and Bill Richard and gotten friendly with them, and they offered to sponsor us this year. So they're going to be the activities sponsor. They're responsible for bringing us all the children's activities that we have to pay for this year, which is perfect for them.
Right, his 8-year-old son, I believe, was 8.
Martin was 8, and he's such a sweet family, and we're thrilled to have them on board. They've actually participated the last couple of years, and this year Bill reached out and said, we want to be a sponsor this year.
Excellent.
So, I have to give a shout out to Lane Printing. They've done all our printing for free. They printed our banners, our brochures, and it's just a real, that old saying, which I use all the time, it takes a village. In this case, it definitely does.
No doubt about it.
We've got great volunteers. My committee, Maureen Tomlin, I can't do this without her. And, the rest of the committee, they're awesome.
It's funny, it seems to be no turnover. It seems like
there has been a little bit of turnover. We've gotten some new blood on board.
I don't mean it that way as much as it seems people are so committed and they come back every
Yeah,
year.
yeah, they
And
really
you need
do.
to bring in some new blood in.
It takes a little over 100 volunteers to make this happen. You know, the football team, there are grunt workers.
Right.
We can't do this without them. They show up at 6 in the morning and, you know, help us haul water and get set up, and they're there the day before to help set up, and they're there for the cleanup, and you know, some of the sports teams participate. The girls soccer team, they always bring the entire team down to run,
Right.
and they run together, which looks great. The
Agreed.
cheerleaders
Right.
and you know,
The
the boys
peer
soccer
leaders.
team, the peer leaders are our water stops, and you know, it's really such a community event. And you know, you ask anybody in the community, are you involved? And they'll probably say yes.
Right. In some capacity or another. Right.
right.
You don't have to do everything.
Right. What I think is really funny is United Church of Christ, and I hope I'm giving the right name. That's the one on Route 18 with the big steeple.
steeple.
Reverend
Right
Christy
near
Coburn.
Stones.
Yeah. Last year they had such a conflict with people wanting to come but also wanting to go to service that they moved their service for us now, and they do this as a church community, and they come participate. And they're doing that again this year.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, that's what, to me, religion's about that.
Definitely. And many years ago, I apologized to Father Butler, who was then the pastor over at St. Bridget, and you know, because it's at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and I feel guilty that we're taking people away from church, and you know, it's taken me away from church on that morning, and he said, I think the good that you're doing gives you a little dispensation from what
I'm not
you're missing
surprised.
church.
He has the right attitude.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
You're living it, and that's what it's about.
Right.
Anyone can do the service and read the rituals.
right, exactly. And as he said, they can always go to church on Saturday evening.
That's right.
So, you know, we get support from all the different communities around Abington,
Sure.
from the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, and it's really, it's an event that is still a lot of work for my committee and myself and my family, but it's something that I've really come to love.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the town loves it as well, because as I mentioned before, when I talk about, you know, maybe this is the last year, people say, no, you can't stop it. We love that event, and it's
Right.
great for the town. And as Chief Majensky said, this event has put Abington on the map. And also it's enabled us to help a lot of families across Massachusetts.
Right.
And that's the best thing out of all of this.
Like you said, paying it forward. A lot of these
Right.
people don't have access to certain things that
Right.
you help them with. And
Right.
with this fundraising, you're able to support a lot of these people, and it's a give.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
absolutely.
And like you said, too, about the gate separating, you don't have that. Everyone's united. Everyone's
Right.
welcome.
Yes.
You just show up. We'll
Yeah.
find something for you to do.
That's
or
right.
what.
That's right. I encourage people to register early. It makes it easier for me to order those T-shirts.
Right. They don't want people complaining because they got there late. Oh.
Right, right. They get the wrong size, or we
Right.
run out, or whatever. But you know, we do take you the day of. We'll take everybody. We'll take walk-ins. You don't have to be a runner. You don't even have to walk. You know, just come enjoy the community event. Enjoy the day. Eat the free food. You know, if you have a quarter or a dollar, drop it in a donation jar, but we don't require that.
No, of course. Yeah, there's no
you know,
fee involved.
The
Right.
only fee is if you register
Right, to run.
for the road race
Yeah.
and you buy the raffle tickets.
Sure.
And this year, a friend suggested I sell the books at the road race, and I thought that's a really good idea. I hadn't even thought
Right,
of that.
yeah.
So we'll be doing that. So, you know, I hope everybody that comes out has a wonderful time as usual, weather permitting. It's always a great day. We've even been there in the rain, and
Right,
it's still
sure.
been a great day.
It doesn't put a
But,
damper on anyone's spirits.
Yeah, and if you haven't come, this is the year to come, because you know, we've only learned to do it bigger and better.
It
after
improves
15
every
years.
time.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It truly does.
And you know, as big as it's gotten, it hasn't changed.
Right.
I mean, it's changed for the better, but it hasn't changed for the worse.
Sure.
It's still I think everybody will agree, it's a wonderful community event, and it's just, you know, people tell me the feeling out on the walking course or the running course is just so wonderful, and people come out of their homes and they cheer on the
them on,
runners. and
right.
Cars will pull over and they'll stop and watch and
Right.
clap for them, and
Yeah, I've seen it
so,
firsthand.
yeah, so it's really a great day, and it's something that I hold very dear.
And again, it involves the whole community, and that's what
Yeah.
it's about. Everyone's united for a great cause.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough how grateful my family is, and you know, my brother-in-law Doug lives in town, and you know, our gratitude for what the community has done for us, I can't even put it into words.
Sure. And the foundation, of course, gives back exponentially. And I personally know a number of families that have benefited from the proceeds that this group has raised. So it's a great cause. We have the National Day of Service. We have the Jeff Coombs Memorial Road Race. And if you have any money at all and you can contribute to the Abington's 9/11 Memorial, it would be greatly appreciated. Christy, again, if you want to pass this on to other people, go to you can tell them to see abingtoncam.org. And this show will be on, it takes maybe just in a day or so or something to put it on the computer. But pass it on to your friends and neighbors and let them know about it, because it's not just Abington.
Right.
Christie's group helps all throughout Massachusetts and probably New England, but I know definitely throughout Massachusetts. So please keep that in mind. And if you can come out on the National Day of Service and help put gift packages and for the soldiers. What part of the Rose County Green Bay?
It's near the aquarium, near Faneuil Hall, that end.
Okay.
So, but the main thing about remembering 9/11 is just be kind to people. Find a reason to make somebody smile that day. You know, one thing we'll be doing for the road race real quick is, again, we'll be giving out stickers with the names of the fallen service members post 9/11 and the names of the fallen Massachusetts folks who died on 9/11.
Okay.
And just to ask people that are there to wear the sticker in memory of that person, go home and look them up and learn a little bit about them.
Sure.
So it's not just remembering a name, you're actually remembering a person.
Right.
Yeah, and
And
bringing that
humanizing
person
them.
to life in your heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, again, I can't thank you enough, Christy,
Thank you.
so much. I appreciate everything you've done in the group and all the volunteers and mostly all the companies that contribute and all the volunteers that donate their time. So please, if you pass this on, abingtoncam.org, and please, let's try to support this again.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
Anytime, you know that. Again, we have September 9th. James Crosby, the Veterans Agent for Abington and Whitman, will be on, and Peter Schaefer, the Superintendent of Schools, will be on. He'll discuss the status of the new school and also the new school year, maybe new teachers that are here, discuss maybe different policies. And Mr. Crosby here to talk about veterans, and that's something we have to discuss. We have to get on board and help these veterans. They've in many cases given limbs and not life, if not life, and we have to help them out. It seems like they're the redheaded stepchild or something. It's embarrassing the way we treat our veterans. So Mr. Crosby will be on to see how we can help improve the quality of life for those fellas and ladies. Thank you very much. I want to thank Justin Shanahan for producing this again, and be kind. Thank you very much.